We on? I will call this meeting of the Tazewell County School Board back to order. And as we do, I'll ask the clerk, Ms. Bailey, to read the certification that's required by the Code of Virginia.
In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, a roll call vote must be taken in which all members are sworn that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meetings, as identified in the motion for closed session, were heard, discussed, or considered by the board. Mr. Robinson? Ms. Mullins? Yes. So certified. So certified. Ms. Moyer? So certified.
So certified. At the beginning of our meeting, we had Jim Drake from Parkview Baptist Church to do a devotion and invocation. But I'd ask everyone now, if you would, to join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Vice Chair, Ms. Mullins. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Mullins. And if you would like, you may take off with the consent agenda and items for closed session.
I make a motion to approve items A, B, and C of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve items A, B, and C of the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Whittington. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it, Dr. Stacy?
The yearly personnel motion.
It's on down a little bit.
It should be, yeah.
On down.
Okay.
Is personnel not on there?
Personnel's on there. Continuing contract renewal letters.
Okay.
That's not what that is.
Well, you better do it. All right.
Huh?
You better do it.
Go ahead, do it.
Yeah. I don't have it. I don't know what I've done with it.
Which one, Sheila?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we, recommendation for employment for employees for 2020-2021 school year. It's a recommendation of Dr. Stacy, Division Superintendent, that all employees presently holding signed contracts or wage assignment schedules with Tazewell County Public Schools be reemployed for the 2020-2021 school year, subject to the approval of Tazewell County School Board on this date, with following exceptions: those employees requesting to retire from service, employees leaving the school system, employees whose positions have been eliminated, and those employees recommended for non-renewal, and then all contingent upon budget funds.
There is a motion to, what is that, renew contracts, continue contracts for
Yes.
employees, second by Ms. Moyer. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that, now you're done.
Done.
Brings us to Ms. Hill.
Mr. Chairman, school board members, Dr. Stacy, Ms. Bailey. This evening, I would like to present to you the Teachers of the Year that were selected by each building administration and then sent to directors of instruction. With the current situation, we will invite the Teachers of the Year back where they can have their families and people present and let the building administrators present them and their letters of recommendation. But tonight I'll just present to you all the Teachers of the Year. Pre-K2, Miss Amy Spencer, Richlands Elementary. Elementary 3 through 5, grades 3 through 5, Teacher of the Year, Jeannie Shortridge, Richlands Elementary. Middle School Teacher of the Year, Miss Lori Sharp, Graham Middle School. Secondary Teacher of the Year, Mr. Rod Curry, Richlands High School. And we added one this year for CTE Teacher of the Year, Miss Allison Gillespie, Tazewell Middle School. And again, we will invite them back once restrictions are lifted so they can be presented with their families.
I know 4 of the 5 of these, and they're top notch. I'm glad to see their names. Are we going to look through those, Dr. Stacy, and do a Teacher of the Year for the state nomination?
Like to, yes, sir.
We need a motion to dispense with the hearing of citizens.
I'll make a motion that we dispense with the hearing of citizens due to circumstances.
Second by Mr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any employees present who wish to address the board? Second call for employees who wish to address the board. Third and final call. There's 3 of you here, 4, 5. This board welcomes citizens and employees to address it one-on-one through email or whatever means you use to contact us, and I hope that we're responsive. I think we're a pretty responsive board. Move on to unfinished business. Dr. Stacy.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, last month presented to the VSBA policy updates for a first read, and tonight I'm coming back to you again with the same policies for a second read. Last month we had a few questions about a few of the policies. If you'd like me to address those at this time.
I've checked my suggestions from last month and they were all corrected,
Okay.
except for the one which would not be in here, but where this requires for a physical exam, and we didn't have that. Did we add that into the handbook
On the if on GDQ,
for buses?
yes, ma'am. On the let me find my place now. GDQ on letter A, number 4. It says that bus drivers will adhere to all requirements of the Virginia Department of Ed school bus drivers application for physician certification annually.
Okay.
So we're taking that to mean that requires them to have the physical every.
Sounds good. Okay.
And the board had also asked for copies of contracts. Those should be in your packets as well. And then on JGD and JGE, the word principal was missing on the red line versions, and so those have been added to your packets tonight.
Any further questions?
No.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the policy updates for the SBA recommendations.
This is second read, right?
Yes, for second read.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Whittington. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to new business, Dr. Stacy.
Yes, sir. In your packets this evening, you have the approval of continuing contract renewal letters for various inspections, products, maintenance agreements, and servicing. These services actually went out to bid a couple of years ago, but per code, you can use those bids for 5 years as long as both parties are in agreement. And so what we would like to do is send those letters out. And you've got the list of services and the costs associated with each service in your packet as well. And again, it starts with coal services and goes all the way down through elevator service and inspections.
What about pest control services?
I think pest control is something that we contract out as needed if we have a need for it in a certain location. Are you talking about monthly sprayings or yearly
Yeah.
sprayings? I don't know that.
We don't.
I don't know that we've had a bid on that
How
one.
much we spend annually on pest control? You just email it. Is there a motion, unless there are questions, you make a question?
I make a motion to approve the continuing contracts for them and send out renewal letters.
Motion to approve continuing contract letters. Second by Ms. Moyer. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Appalachian Officials Association.
Yes, sir. In your package, you have the new contract from the AOA, the Appalachian Officials Association, and it's pretty much the same contract as what you had last year. However, a couple of questions have been sent to me, and I don't have an answer for them at this time. One of the questions was, our monthly or our yearly fee to the organization for these officials. What if we don't have sports, or what if sports or seasons are somehow compromised? will we have the same fees for these? And I didn't have an answer for that. So if the board would like me to gather a little bit more information before you approve this contract, I'm perfectly fine with that as well.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
So we're kicking it the next month.
Yes, sir.
All right, that brings us to C, approval of oil bids.
Yes, sir. In your packet, you have the bid for diesel oil, and you can see the bids that we had, and the bid that was selected is Pew Oil Company, and it was also the low bid at $455 a gallon. Drum, I'm sorry. Yeah, not a gallon. You got me frazzled here.
That's
Yeah,
oil.
that's some real good stuff we're getting here. No, it's a gallon. Yeah.
Where is Pew Oil?
I don't have an answer for you, sir.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the approval of the oil bid as presented.
I'll second.
Motion second by Mr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item D. Set the timer. Who's got the timer? Set the timer.
You see those little timer back there?
How long do I have?
Not long. We're adjourning in 16 minutes.
He's kidding.
Okay.
I was not.
Okay, so I'm Amanda Hoops. I'm the director of Tazewell Today, which is the Town of Tazewell Revitalization Community Organization. A couple of months ago, we came up with the idea, should we be unable to have a traditional prom for our students this year due to our unfortunate circumstances, then Tazewell Today would like to host a prom on Main Street. As you all know, Main Street Tazewell, we host events of all types year-round, Christmas, October, all summer long. It's a beautiful venue. Very, very minimal decorating would be needed. We can accommodate thousands of people on Main Street. In addition, there's an economic benefit to our restaurants who are situated along Main Street as well. So we came up with this idea to have a prom on Main Street, and we got an enormous amount of support from the community. Just hundreds of people reaching out, offering to contribute financially and volunteering to help pull it off. At this point, I have coordinated with the 3 prom sponsors from the whole county, Graham, Richlands, and Tazewell, and we're all on board with pulling together and pooling our resources financially and otherwise. Each school has a storage locker full of decorations and lights and that kind of thing. Each prom sponsor has been willing to contribute funds that have been raised specifically for the school's prom. And I hate to speak for other people, but we're all in agreement that this would be easier than trying to pull off a prom in the middle of the summer in a hot gym that's not air conditioned, and it would just be a better alternative. Where we're at now with the current gathering restrictions, it looks like late July is probably our best bet for gathering over 50 people. We had intended on doing this July 11th, looked like our best date, but I just don't foresee those restrictions being lifted and realistically being able to gather more than 50 people before the end of July. So we're kind of just waiting to see how it goes. If the restrictions get lifted, great. I thought about maybe polling the students to see if they would even be interested in having a prom at that point, because we're getting late in the summer and people are going to be going on vacation hopefully, and the kids may just be over it at this point. So that's kind of where we are. Does anyone have any questions about that or recommendations on how we should proceed with that? Is that acceptable to everyone if we continue pushing forward with that plan?
I'll make one comment. You'll need to talk, and I'm not saying that the prom sponsors have not, but they wouldn't have the authority to relinquish any funds. So
Sure.
The building principal needs to be on board,
Right.
With that as well. That would be my suggestion on that.
I know you've spoken to Mr. Smith at Tazewell High School, and he is on board, so I know at least that one is on board.
funds, yes. And Richlands, Amanda Robinson is the prom sponsor for Richlands, and from our conversations, she has been instructed that this is the direction that they wanted to go. Graham, I'm not sure. That's a new, I think Courtney is, this may be her first year in being the prom sponsor, and they usually have a different venue. They usually do.
Yeah, they usually go to Frank Castle.
That's right. Right. So they're in a little bit of a different situation. They don't have the hot, sweaty gym to contend with in the middle of summer, the hottest part of summer. So, but Courtney is on board. But yes, absolutely understand that the principals need to agree to relinquish those funds.
What, do we need to do anything?
I don't think we need to do anything. I mean, this is a town event. You know, they're trying to organize. I think if, again, the board has never paid for a prom, so we're not in the prom business, so to speak. So if Tazewell today coordinates with the high school principals and they're in agreement to donate, or not donate, but to allocate their prom funds, maybe decorations and things like that, I don't think there's any, there's nothing, it's not a board event. It's not Tazewell County's prom, it's Tazewell today's prom. So they would be the organization to put it all together and make it work.
And the town of Tazewell would be the host, so to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Your town sounds would we get the insurance?
Yes, we would be on the town of Tazewell's event insurance.
Yes. I think it sounds great considering the situation that we're in with the pandemic. So I think it's awesome idea and great for y'all to do that. The kids are. It'd be a great event for them.
If they'll turn out for it, it'll be wonderful. It's a beautiful venue to have anything, and like I said, very low cost. Food would be the biggest expense, and opening it up to the county as a whole is just something that we felt was the right thing to do.
Have we checked the potential graduation dates against prom dates?
I think
Well,
She said she hadn't set a date yet.
Yeah.
She stuck out for that. We were looking at
July
July
25th
25th
is what we're looking at for graduation. But I'm assuming,
at 10 o'clock.
yeah, we're going to look at an AM graduation date. So even if it's the same date, you'd have an evening event. I'm guessing.
And that could actually coordinate very well
Mhm.
for people to be here.
Sure.
They could.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda. Superintendent report, 3 items, 3 minutes apart. See you later.
Mr. Chairman, school board members, Dr. Stacy, Ms. Bailey is passing out a renewal quote for me. Mr. Sam Irby with the Innovative Insurance Group put the renewal quote together. They still don't have the dental and vision renewal yet. That shouldn't be too much more. If you look at the bottom, it kind of looks like we're in for a 16% increase in the yellow box at the bottom. The quote is broken out with the fixed cost, the annual reinsurance premium, the variable cost. You'll see annual benefit plan costs, monthly premiums, and on the very back, we also have to have a transplant insurance. There are 3 lasers that you'll see listed there in box number 2 that we have to pay over the $125,000 in expenses for those 3 individuals.
Ms. Hill, could you remind them what a laser is?
A laser is basically an individual, an employee, or a dependent on our insurance premium, in our insurance policy, excuse me. And they have excessive medical costs the year before, and they're anticipated to have an excessive amount of medical costs during that plan year. So we do have 3 at this time. We had 1, now we're to 3. So we pay most employees after the $125,000 is paid, then the reinsurance takes over. But when you have a laser, we end up paying close to $300,000 for each employee. No, it's been there. It's not new. Actually, last year we had one, and then with the, I guess, cost this year of some employees, and they end up on our list as a laser.
Now, this comes out, and it says a 16% percent change. That's looking at the maximum planned cost.
Correct.
If we had the worst of worst years, that's the max that you would pay. Now, talking with Ms. Hill and Mr. Irby and Ms. Cox, we had a conference call, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And Mr. Irby kind of walked through the explanation here, but with our reserves, with our monthly contributions, and we're going to recommend a 2% increase on premiums this year, it should be enough to cover us in the worst case scenarios. And Ms. Hill, Mr. Irby will work with Ms. Hill and get us the new rates for both, for every category. But that's what we think is at a 2% increase, both on our side and the employee side, and we should be fine for insurance this year.
2% total or 2% for each side?
2% for each side, 2% on the board side and 2% on the
Employer and
side.
employee. And we still have our HSA contributions.
Yes.
That are in there. We have to plan, when you do a quote, we have to plan that all employees are on our insurance, because it could be a possibility, but it may not be a possibility. That you have to plan for it, because with the circumstances right now, people that are losing jobs, we really haven't had a big jump because they are allowing them to keep their insurance. But there's times throughout the year that we have qualifying events that families come back on our plan or they go off our plan. Sometimes they jump 2 or 3 times during the school year or the plan year.
And our plan year again is September, or
October
October
1st
1st.
to September 30th.
So we don't need to do anything.
You don't, this is information.
Just
purposes
information
only.
on the renewal quotes. We did have that planned, but that's kind of next right now. And we also had August 12th planned to have vendors at Hazel Middle School, so we're still waiting kind of to see if we can still do that as well. We did send out the monthly health newsletter, and it was just on the benefits that the employee has, and it kind of explained it a little bit better. So that did go out in a couple weeks ago, I believe.
We need to educate everybody on that app.
That was good.
That was
And that
on
was
the
one of
health
things
newsletter.
Yeah.
That was on the newsletter. It had everything, how they can get points towards the deductible. That's all that newsletter was the benefits that the employee has.
I did hear something today, 80% of the doctor's visits and things like that now are being done
Teledoctor.
teledoctor
Mhm.
Yeah.
video, so maybe that'll help move that direction too.
I think a lot of changes that we are currently doing will stick with us for a while, because now people are learning how to do things and understand it's a different perspective.
Mhm.
Any questions? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Budget update, Ms. Cox. Unfortunately, you only have 2 minutes.
That's perfect. The Tazewell County Board approved their budget last Tuesday, and I think that it was published in the paper today, or is going to be published. So when we first did our budget, we were anticipating a 1.25% increase from the county on what the state would recommend, but because of the economics that are happening right now, the county has only approved to do the required minimum amount that the governor has recommended, and that amount is $11,491,347. So Dr. Stacy and I have been working on that. That's a decrease of about $3.5 million from the budget that we looked at March 26th. So some of the things that we were looking at cutting out was the guidance counselors. The governor had wanted us to increase the number of guidance counselors But because when they sent out the new budget, the governor decided to hold off on that. So that's about 8 positions that we don't need anymore. And we also looked at some other positions like the social workers. We had 2 psychologists in the budget. We're going to go with just 1. So, there will be some reductions in just positions that we don't have right now that we were looking to add. And then some other items that Dr. Stacy and I looked at was the school buses. Due to the budget cuts, we're not anticipating on purchasing the school buses next year. And then the same goes for the backhoe and the garbage truck. And then roof repairs, we're hoping, well, not hoping, but we're anticipating that we'll have to reduce some of the amount that we had set aside for the roof repairs.
Just to clarify that, before there's mass hysteria, the budget they passed at the Board of Supervisors is their first budget, and they always come back for a
Right.
second budget and will adjust upward.
Yes, sir.
And address our carryover.
And
So we're not panicking at a 3 point whatever. We don't need headlines that say we're
No.
$3.5 million in the hole. We're not.
And
We're
again,
not. You're right. We're
we-
not.
We have, both boards have a great relationship, and I think, they're going to do everything within their power to allocate more funding to us if at all possible. In their defense, same as us, they're dealing with some uncertainty right now too, as far as their sales tax revenue that they rely on. So, in speaking with Mr. Young, they're not going to know some things until the later part of this month. They'll get their first glimpse of what sales tax revenue really looks like, because it usually lags probably about 2 months behind. So we'll get that. And I don't want to step on your toes. Another thing, though, we had built the budget based on a 2% raise, which is what the governor had put in his biennium budget, 2% raise this year, 2% next year. Well, the governor took that out of his budget. And so what we've really been working on, and we're not quite finished, but we're trying to still have a step raise for the employees. So that's going to be part of the budget that we're trying to construct, but it will not, at this time, it's not going to include the original 2% that we had presented to you the first time.
And just to clarify, those guidance positions were the new positions.
Yes,
not
ma'am.
any
Yeah,
current
yeah.
positions.
And that was,
Just
the
new
governor had come out with new ratios. And so it was going to require us to add 8 positions.
Right.
And so we've taken it. So there's nothing on her list that's an actual person.
Right.
We're not releasing any people. These are positions that, and hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, there may be a position or 2 that we're going to not refill due to retirement. And so if there's things like that based on numbers, course requests, course tallies, if we don't have to replace a person, we won't. But again, everything that she's telling you now was based on the original budget that was based on the governor's original requirements for ratios and positions, and the added emphasis that was placed on mental health for social workers and those kind of things. So again, we were going to try to fund 2 psychologists. We're not going to be able to, but we are going to fund 1. We've actually got that person. And so again, before anybody runs out, there's no people involved in this. It's all physicians and buses.
Yeah.
And backhoe. Yeah, there you go. And we're, like I said, we're still trying to make ends meet there. And, before anybody else runs out, if a roof needs to be repaired, we're going to repair it. There's some other kind of exterior things that goes with that we thought, well, maybe we'll go ahead and do the whole thing. But there's nothing that's unsafe in our buildings or anything like that. We were just going to try to do some cosmetic things that we may not be able to do now. It is what it is.
My position on the budget is there's not a story to be told at this point.
I agree.
We're a month and a half out from a final adoption, and at the end of the day, it's all going to balance and everything's going to be fine, just like it always has been. This by far is not the worst budget year we've ever had. It's not all that bad when you stack it up to some of the years around 08 and 09.
We were able to go ahead and take those pictures and task.
Yes.
We've already done that.
Yeah. And I've got a thing. I'm going to tell you about some updates on those things here in a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Stacy, you're at -2 minutes.
-2 minutes. Let me do a couple of updates here. One, I don't have an actual number. Mr. Jesse's going to get that to me. But since March the 13th through now, we've served over 90,000 meals to students in Tazewell County. So we're very proud of that, very proud of all the people involved in that, getting those meals delivered. After June the 5th, which is our last day of school, we will transition to our summer feeding program. And our summer feeding program is going to be a little bit different than what we're doing now, as far as we're not going to be out on every bus route delivering these meals. The summer meal sites will be Graham Middle School, Tazewell Primary School, Richlands Elementary School. All right, so those cafeterias will be involved in getting the meals together. And then Mr. Jesse's going to come back to you next month and tell you that there's going to be kind of a delivery to that. They're going to pick certain locations in each locale. And so, if Graham Middle School is one of the sites, they may go to Abbs Valley Elementary School parking lot and distribute meals from there. But they'll pick a couple of sites and advertise it and say, hey, we will be here on this day at this time. By all means, come out. And again, food service is kind of their own entity in the summertime, so they don't have the money to run the buses like we do as the school system. So they'll have some van quote unquote delivery sites this summer. And Mr. Jesse will come back and let you know exactly what those sites are going to be next month. Everyone has heard about our stimulus money. It's called CARES funding. We actually just received the application today, so Ms. Cox and I will be working this week to get that application done. And the CARES funding is stimulus money that we're getting from the federal government. And again, the emphasis on that is distance learning and trying to continue the continuation of education regardless of location. And so if for some reason, schools are on an altered schedule next year, we're going to use some of this funding to provide devices to some students who don't have them, perhaps internet capabilities, mobile hotspots, things of that nature. We'll also be using some of the stimulus money for cleaning of our buildings, cleaning supplies. Also looking at personal protective equipment for our employees and our students. So all these things, the CARES money is going to be over $1 million for Tazewell County, but it does have some strings attached as far as what you can spend that money for. So we're going to build the budget based on that. We'll obviously be sharing that with the board, but the primary objectives of this funding right now is sanitation of your buildings and distance learning and equipment. So that'll be the priorities that we make with the funding. Right now, the board has probably heard, starting this week, our principals have developed staff development schedules for their buildings. And what that means is they're going to have teachers back in their buildings certain days of the week. They will not have the entire faculties back at one time. And so we're trying to get some training done now so that when August comes or September, whenever we're back in school, that if we have to deviate from what we traditionally do, if we have to go to virtual teaching or alternate schedules, that we'll have the devices and training doing so. Right now, our teachers are getting trained in Gmail. As of July 1, our group-wise email is going away. We'll be a Google division. So all of our teachers and staff will be using Gmail, so we're getting training done on that now. Along with Google, we've got learning platforms called Google Classroom, so our teachers are going to get trained in that. Google Meet, Google Hangouts, using the calendar feature in Google to coordinate all these events. So we've got a lot of things that we need to do as a division to get trained so that in the fall we can in turn train our kids and begin utilizing these services. So over the next, through June the 5th, last day of school, we will have teachers in the buildings with principals. Our technology staff, ITRTs, are doing an excellent job of putting together some training. Some of that may be face-to-face, but a large portion of it's going to be online. They've already created classes, and so we'll be able to get that going asynchronous across the division. You should see in your packets, we did receive our waiver for not going 180 days or 990 hours. Mr. Woodard signed that request, and then Dr. Lane, the state superintendent, approved it, and so that should be in your packet as well. One of the things we've mentioned briefly earlier, we had talked about graduation, and that's a pressing need on everyone's mind. And so, I've said from the beginning, I think we owe it to our students. They've worked long, hard for this. They deserve it. Their family deserves the opportunity to see them come across the finish line. So what I would like to ask the board tonight to do is to approve a date for graduation. And once we set this date, we're going to say, hey, we are hoping to have a traditional graduation. And we're going to do outside graduations. That's the plan at first, to do stadium graduations. And then if something would happen that the governor has not allowing us to have that big of a crowd, or the weather turns bad, we'll have alternate venues. So we'll either do a traditional outside stadium graduation, or we'll do a rain schedule, a virtual type setting too. And we'll let everyone know what that's going to look like. But I guess what I would ask the board to do this evening is approve July the 25th. That's a Saturday at 10 a.m. to host graduations in the three areas.
Is there a motion?
I so move that we do graduation on July 25th at 10 a.m. in all three locations.
There's a motion, a second by Mr. Robinson. Is there any discussion?
And I would like to point out, Mr. Woodward, that the technology staff said that we are perfectly capable of broadcasting these, streaming these. And so whether it's YouTube or Facebook, the technology staff will get that set up, and obviously we'll advertise that prior to.
The two things I would stress is, one, we're really reliant on the governor's orders.
Yes, sir.
And what the governor allows us to do. Two, even at July, we're going to be very limited on how many people come. So don't bring people from all across the country, because it's probably not going to be more than an immediate family that is able to attend, if we even have that.
Yes, sir.
So, but I'm glad we're committed to having a graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Couple more things. This Thursday, Tazewell County Health Department will we'll be doing drive-through COVID-19 testing in the parking lot at Tazewell Middle School. This is not through the school system. They're going to use our parking lot. People will not be coming into our buildings, will not be coming in contact with any of our faculty or staff. And this is not just for anybody. This is folks who have a doctor's note or have been requested through the health department. So that'll be going on in the parking lot from 9 that morning until noon. Just a couple little tidbits. During our meetings, the state superintendent has recommended that schools come up with a couple of alternative kind of schedules for getting back to school in the fall. And so some of the things we're looking at are, some hybrid schedules of rotating who comes to school which days, some virtual components, lots of different things. But I think what I would like to do first of all is come back to you, the board, next month with a couple of variations on an academic schedule, a school calendar. And I know we approved one earlier in the winter or spring, but lots of things have changed obviously since then. So I would like for my staff to help me with, and they already have been, but to start looking at some different dates. And it may even include not coming back to school in the middle of August. It may look at pushing the start date back till after Labor Day. But again, we'll bring you a couple of options to look at and see. But I think that's the first priority, is that we set a date. And then once that date is set, that'll be the date. And whether it's in person, whether it's online, whatever we do, we know, and parents can know that that's the day that it's kicking off. But again, I'll bring a couple of different versions next month, and Ms. Hill and I will bring those to you next month. I think, I just like to say we've got a lot of good people and been doing a lot of good things, and it has been unique to say the least. It's something unlike anything I've ever seen. And so we're hoping to use the rest of this spring and all the summer to get ready for the fall, because who knows what that's going to bring with it. But we're going to be ready, like I said, to start school in the fall in some format. Whatever way the governor of the state says we can do it, we will be ready to do it at that time. And I appreciate your patience with me. And I know I shoot you emails, and we go to these webinars. Ms. Hill's been on a million, and I have too, and so does the rest of the staff. And sometimes you go to one at 9 o'clock, and then at 12 o'clock you go to another one. They say, well, forget what we said at 9 o'clock. And so I've already emailed you and said this is the latest, greatest. So appreciate your patience in that regard too. But that's all I have, sir.
Well, it's about time.
I know I was trying to go fast, speed talking. Oh wait, no, I do have one more thing. I'm sorry.
You've already.
So some of the things that we have been working on, and again, these are projects that we bid out earlier. So the rooftop units at Tazewell Middle School, the units are actually installed and ready, but now it's just getting the computer set up and tied in. So that's coming. The carpet projects at Richlands Middle School actually started today. And so the stuff had been delivered, so they were supposed to start working on that today. The roof at Richlands High School Library has been completed. They are working on the roof here at the Career Technical Center on C Wing. The bleachers have been taken out of Tazewell High School, the old ones. The walls have been painted, and the new bleachers will be installed starting on June 1st. The gym floor will be resealed after the bleachers are installed. The gym floors at Grand Middle School and Richlands Middle School are getting sanded and repainted. That's projects now. And we do have the AC units at Abbs Valley Elementary School. We just have not installed them yet. That'll be a summer project. Getting those installed. Now I can.
I'm gonna wait a minute just to make sure.
No, I'm good. I promise you.
Brings us to board member concern. Mr. Robinson, you want to go first?
I just want to thank the teacher, staff, and administration for continuing work for the children of our county. It seems like everything's changing daily. The teachers are having to learn new things, kids are having to learn new things, and the parents are having to learn new things. So everybody's having to adapt. I just want to thank all of them so much for patience and just being willing to try to. Congratulations to our teachers of the year. And I also want to thank Dr. Stacy for his leadership during these changing times. It seems like our educational world is changing daily, and he's done a great job at leading us. And as he was saying, he could be in a meeting at 9 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock, everything's changed. So we just appreciate all the work that you do. That's it.
Ms. Moore?
Getting what Mr. Robinson said, I feel exactly the same way you did. I'm just gonna add one more thing. This is a tough time for our seniors, and I hope that they realize that we're trying to do everything that we can to celebrate them. And I know Tazewell's had the banners up, thanks to Amanda Hook. She's the one who and I ran that contact with the other high schools and let us know what their plans were, and we were excited and got on board with that. But we had at Richlands High School a challenge getting our senior pictures from Life Touch. So I got a text message this morning, and we actually were able to get those. They were at stay-at-home orders, the same as the rest of the world, so it's certainly understandable. So hopefully we can celebrate our Richlands seniors. So thanks for sharing the wonderful idea. So we are all in this together, so that's nice that we work out. So.
Ms. Whitaker?
Ditto on everything that everyone said so far. It's just, we've been, at Richlands High School. I know Kim and Angie have really been working, trying to get the pictures, and it's just, I know people are wondering if or when we are going to do it, and we're thankful that we finally received the pictures and proceed with that project. And I just appreciate everything you all are doing. I know it's difficult. They keep, you're building this plane as you're flying it, and everything is up for change, and you all have done it very well, very gracefully. And we appreciate all the hard work of everyone pulling together, the technology team as far as getting all the training ready for our teachers so that we'll be prepared, whatever comes in the fall. But we do appreciate everything that everyone is doing.
Ms. Mullins?
I ditto everything everyone else has said, and congratulations to the teachers of the year. That's exciting for them, and we're proud of them and all of our teachers and administrators, Dr. Stacy and all the central office. Everyone's had to learn a new way of doing things together, and parents and kids too. It's all a new way for us, and but everyone seems to be pulling together. And I see things on Facebook that parents are helping kids, or they put out a message that this one needs help with math, and somebody jumps in and helps. So it's a great bringing together of the community in many ways, and that's great to see. And let's see, what else do I have down here? The food delivery. Really appreciate the bus drivers and everyone who's volunteering, teachers volunteering and all to ride on those buses and deliver the food to the kids. A lot of them are excited to get to see their kids again for a few minutes, and see where the kids live is a very interesting thing for a lot of their teachers and all, to help understand their student body a lot better. And I'm seeing some comments to that on Facebook. So that's some good positive things that are coming out of this. And everybody's just making the best of the situation, which is great. And I know with streaming this live, we don't allow questions during the meeting because that's not the Robert's Rules of Order that we follow. But if anyone has questions, I'm sure they can email you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, email Dr.
any of us.
C. Stacy. What's the new one?
TCPSVA.org.
Or email any of us, and we will certainly try to answer your questions or pass it on to the appropriate person. So this is something new that we've had to do with the governor's requirements and all too, in certain ways. So thank you to everybody.
To kind of play off of what you were finishing up with, Ms. Mullins, some of our better principals that I know of go out and ride the buses and ride routes to see where their kids are. And I know you did that when you were in the valley, and you did it when you were in Pocahontas. But the teachers going out, I'm hearing from a lot of them who are volunteering, and it's just eye-opening for them. Because a lot of them have never been to these kids' homes. So I'm really, really impressed with what we're doing. I like how when something goes out about what our food service and our transportation departments are doing, a few days later you'll see something from another county coming out in the paper too. So not saying they want to be like us, but seem to want to be like us. Our folks are doing a great job. 3 things I wrote down is distance learning. I think we all know at some point we're going to be doing distance learning again. And we did an excellent job of putting it together this time with very little notice. I hope next time, although we have a million different avenues available to us, that we're all on one page and everybody's doing the same. And I'm glad to see the progress that you're making that direction, Dr. Stacy. We had a little side conversation at some point about water fountains, and I would like to look at starting to replace water fountains in our elementaries, because those are places where kids get sick very quickly and diseases spread in schools. And I appreciate the attention to Abs Valley with the air conditioning units. That's all I've got. Anybody have anything else? Y'all want to start over with concerns?
I'm good.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion we adjourn.
Hold on, take that back.
Okay, I'll take it
We
back.
will be calling a work session at some point before or after the June meeting.
Yes, sir.
We don't know when yet, so stay tuned for that, for the budget. So now you can make a motion.
Now I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Whittington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's all it wrote.
Thank you.
I don't think it was your turn. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?